Hello beautiful people, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Lexi, and in today's video you may notice that the quality is different, hopefully better. Fingers crossed it's better, because I have recently obtained a camera that's an actual video camera, so I'm not shooting on my phone anymore, and it's so nice and I'm so excited to actually put it to use. It's great. I really hope that this increases the quality of my videos, because obviously I want the content that I put out for you guys to be good and better and constantly improving. So hopefully this camera is the first step of many into doing so. I am very excited to use it and to see how it looks in editing and all of that. It's super exciting. I did purchase the Sony ZV-1F. For those of you who know cameras, for those of you who don't, it doesn't matter. That's the camera that I have. If you like it and you want to pick one up for yourself, it's very nice, and thus far I am pleased with it and I'm very excited to use it. Also, one more thing about my new camera. If you notice me looking off to the side any, it's because I have a viewfinder now, so I can actually see myself shooting, and I'm gonna have to train myself not to look at it, and it's gonna be a process, so just bear with me on that. Anyways, I'm done getting off topic for now, I hope. Today's video, I wanted to do something I've never actually done before. I really wanted to do a book talk video. I know that it was quite hyped up on booktube and I think book talk for a while as well, definitely bookstagram. All of the book social medias. It was very popular on for a while, and I'm definitely way past the trend, but I did finally pick it up, and I have a lot to say about it because I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I did or would. I know it's a very controversial book, but I find myself in the controversy that enjoyed it, and I wanted to talk about it. So that book is going to be Neon Gods by Katie Robert. I picked it up at Target because they had it when I was there. I wanted to buy a new book just because I felt like it. I had a rough day at work and I just wanted to treat myself to a new book, and they had this one. So even though I try not to get books in paperback, especially series, just because I think the hardcovers look better, I felt like this was fine. It's very cool. The cover is the cover. Everybody knows what this book looks like. Everybody's seen this book probably. It is a modern retelling of Hades and Persephone, and I don't know why, but I didn't know that it would be a modern retelling. Had I thought about it, it would have made sense that it was a modern retelling, but oh well. But even still, going into it after I realized that it was a modern retelling, I didn't know that it would be not necessarily like the gods themselves. Basically, the way they had it set up was like they were personifying the gods, I guess. It's still kind of weird and I don't exactly get the point of it, but basically they would have like these people who represented each of the gods and like their like children, I guess. I don't know. I still don't know if like the children of the 12 gods would have to like change their names, because it didn't sound like Persephone and her sisters changed their names when their mother became Demeter, because she wasn't born Demeter. They're not actually the gods. They're just like personifications of the gods. So I don't know if they like she like change her name or something, or if they're just like born with the name of the gods they're gonna persona. I don't know how it works, and that part was a little bit confusing, because there was a part where, and it talks about this on the back, so this isn't spoilers. I'm gonna try to keep this as spoiler free as possible. But there was a part where Persephone was intended to marry Zeus, and so it talked about how she was going to become the next Hera. So obviously their names change, I guess, when they become the gods that they become, but I don't know for the children because they already had the Greek names, because Persephone and then her sisters Psyche and Callisto, I think, was one of them, and Eurydice, I think, was the other. I could be mistaken. I don't remember exactly. It's been a few weeks since I read this book, but I'm just now getting around to talking about it. But I know Psyche for sure was one of them. And then there was like a couple of other figures that weren't like gods but still had the Greek names, like Minthi was in there. So I don't know how that works, and I am still kind of confused on the whole like system that they have in place for this, because then it talks about how like some of the roles are generational, like Hades and Zeus and Poseidon are the only generational ones actually, and so they just inherit it from their parents. And then Zeus had a son who his name was Hercules, and he became the next Zeus. So I don't know what's going on. I don't really understand the system, but I liked the book anyway, even though I was mildly confused the whole time, because it's just a minor detail to be confused about. I was a little bit disappointed that they weren't like the actual gods, because I was thinking they would be like the actual gods just in modern day. So I guess I was a little bit disappointed about that, but it wasn't like points off the book or anything. It just wasn't what I thought it would be. I think it might have been a little bit more cohesive had they been the actual gods, because then there wouldn't have been this whole like system. But I have a feeling that that's something that Katie Roberts is going to talk about in the rest of the series, which I do plan on picking up because this was very good and I enjoyed my time with it. And I'm curious to find out what happens next. I will eventually be picking up the rest of the series. No promises on when though. Anyhow, one of the things that this book is known for, and Mom and Dad, if you're watching, you can just turn the video off now. That's all I'm talking about is just the caste system. You don't need to watch any of the rest of this video. One of the things that this book is known for is the smut that is in this book, and it was very good smut. Oh my god, I never thought I'd be talking about this on the internet, but it was so well written, and it wasn't like weird or creepy. There was a very heavy emphasis placed on consent throughout the entire book. That was actually like one of the major plot points, was that Hades didn't want to violate her consent, and I'm here for it. I don't know how accurate to the original myth it is, because there's like many different versions of the original myth of Hades and Persephone, and obviously this isn't going to be like 100% based off, well, it is based off of it, but it's not going to be like, you know, accurate to the story. But some versions, Hades, you know, takes her without her consent, and in some versions she goes down to the underworld. So I just thought it was really cool, the value that was placed on consent throughout this whole book, especially given some of the things that were going on. And it made me happy. It made me feel a little bit warm and fuzzy inside. I'm here for it. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the development of their relationship as well, because even though it was kind of like slow burn, it wasn't really, but it kind of was. I just really enjoyed the dynamic between the two the whole time. And I really liked that they didn't do what I thought they were going to do, because I thought that she was going to make it to where, because from the beginning, you know, they had this whole like arrangement, and it was like, this isn't going to be permanent, blah, blah, blah. And I really thought it would be like, you know, a backstab, like a betrayal, like a sort of type thing situation, a bad situation. I don't remember exactly how I thought it would play out in my head, and I don't think I could explain it without spoiling anything. But in my head, I thought, wow, this is going to be really easy to make it a betrayal. And I really hope that doesn't happen, because I get secondhand embarrassment really bad. And even though it wouldn't have been like an embarrassing situation, it still wouldn't have been great. So I'm just glad that everybody was happy throughout the whole thing, and everybody knew what was happening, and nobody like went back on that. And yeah. Played out really nicely in my opinion. The development of the relationship between Hades and his friends, Hermes and Dionysus, I really liked as well. I did get very annoyed at one specific part at the end when they kind of just like went back on everything, even though they really didn't, because they had like foreshadowed it happening the entire book. But still, it was a little disappointing the way that they played that out. But then it wasn't at the same time. It was kind of weird, and it wasn't like my favorite scene, but it wasn't terrible, and I just wish they had like explained it a little more, I think. And a lot of that goes back to the sort of like caste system that they have in place. I don't know what to call it. I know it's not really a caste system, but like the system that they become the gods and like rule the city or whatever. I wish they had explained that a little more, because then I think that the scene with Hermes and Dionysus kind of going back on Hades would make a little bit more sense. I feel like that was really wordy, and I really hope that made sense. If it didn't, oops, sorry. The other thing that I really, really appreciated about this book was the fact that Hades' character throughout the whole thing was never just like a jerk. He was never just plain, you know, rude to anybody. He was standoffish and very like isolation, introverted, that's the word I'm looking for. But he was never a total a-hole like he was perceived to be, and like he tried to be perceived as, because that image was what kept him safe. But in reality, he was never like that, and I really like that they gave him a personality besides just, I'm Hades, I'm big, mean god of the underworld, young woman in my domain, mine, you know. I'm glad that they did something else with it. That made me happy. One more thing that I do think could have been done better, per se, is sort of the development of Persephone's character. Because while it was done okay, it was sort of like a day-night flip between, I'm Persephone, I'm a little socialite in this big Olympus, but I hate it and I want to get out. And then the minute she gets in the underworld, she's like, I'm Persephone and I hate it and I want to get out. And I'm going to do a whole bunch of dark things to get out of here, because that is what I'm going to do. And I know it's said that she had had those like dark desires her entire life and she wasn't like the little flower that everybody perceived her as, but the way that that was sort of suddenly flipped on, I feel like it could have been foreshadowed a little bit more, so it didn't just feel like a sudden, oh, this is a plot device type situation. But otherwise, I thought it was done really well, and I think that just adding a little bit more to that, a little bit more foundation to that, could have given it a little bit, could have given Persephone as a character a little bit more depth. But otherwise, I thought it was really well done. I thought this entire book was really well done, and I hope I've done a good enough job talking about it for like 10 minutes, because I've never done a book talk video before, like I said, so it was kind of fun. I really enjoyed it because I really enjoyed this book, so talking about it was also super fun. And I hope I have given you some good thoughts to share about this book. If you haven't read it yet, I hope maybe now you're interested in picking it up. If you have read it, I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. And I thank you guys so much for sticking with me this far into the video and listening to my rambling and ranting self. If you did stick around, thank you so much. You should subscribe for more content just like this. You should like the video because it's easy, comment because it makes me smile, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, friends!